and welcome to a Minecraft Lab, where we explore, experiment, and theorize about all things Minecraft. I am Miner Thoughts, and again with me is
Troj. Hey Miner, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. This is going to be a experiment, I guess you'd call, in the lab.
As we always say, it's going to be a quick one. And it doesn't usually end up being a quick one, so let's see.
But we want to get ready for the big show. The big show that's going to happen. Well, at the time of recording, this will air. This episode will actually air the day before Minecraft Live. So we are getting hyped up for it, and we want to get you all prepared for the live. I guess we'd call it a reaction episode, a live reaction episode to what happened in Minecraft Live.
That's right. So if you are listening to this at release day, and obviously Minecraft Live, but at the time of you listening to this will come out on the Sunday after Minecraft Live, Miner and I will be doing a live recording of Minecraft Lab. I'll be on Twitch. Not sure where Miner will be. Maybe on YouTube.
I will be on YouTube. We've got another episode planned later on, but for scientific purposes, we're going to do it on two separate platforms. I'll be on YouTube, and the Troj will be on Twitch.
Yes, I'll be on Twitch, and we would love to have you guys participate again in the discussion, get your reactions to what we saw, what was announced. Yeah, it should be great fun. But for now, obviously, we're in the theorize part of the Minecraft Lab. And maybe a little bit of talk about what we do know is going to happen.
Yes, we want just the facts, just the scientific proof that we have seen from this upcoming mob vote. And as you are listening to this, voting is open. You should go and vote for the mob of your choice. Now, I think Twitter has already pretty much decided who it's going to be. But I believe it will be revealed during Minecraft Live which mob won the vote.
And I think you're right. I think the hive mind of Twitter is really, really pushing only one clear option here. And you would think that option is going to win in an absolute canter based on that. But,
definitely.
Let's just take it one at a time, and let's have a look at each of them.
Okay. Well, the first one we got was the sniffer. And not... With this mob vote, they're not giving us a whole lot.
Yes.
They're very vague, very mysterious. So,
and for me, that makes it very hard, Miner. Like, it's okay to pick a mob and vote for it, but with such vague information, how can you make an informed choice? It's sort of like, oh, well, I'm going to pick this one because what I think it might be, but it basically comes down to a wild stab in the dark. If you go back in time, how many people would vote for the Phantom, or would they go vote for one of the other options at the time? Or even, let's look at the LA, no one's using the LA that I'm aware of, like not many. So, would people go back in time and pick a different mob as an example?
Exactly.
So, and I think this year, I think in our previous episodes, we were actually quite right. We said that after the, what do we call it, kerfuffle of the last couple of updates, that the developers were going to close ranks and not reveal as much. Maybe they've taken it a bit too far.
Right. You're exactly right, and we mentioned it in a previous podcast, or maybe it was several podcasts, that they were going to keep it mysterious. They were only going to give us so much, and then as the snapshots come out, they will give us more as they work the things out. They actually brought it out in a press release that said they were going to take this approach this time around.
Yeah. And, I completely understand that. But, if they're asking us to make some decisions for them, like a mob vote, I think we need to have mobs a little bit further developed. And there's a couple of great points in this that we'll probably get into once we start talking about them in specifics. But, we have some more info on these, please.
Right. And I think part of the problem is, well, I don't know if it's a problem, but when they're revealing the mobs, it's kind of in a 2D style, and it's kind of cartoonish. So it's, I hate to use this word, it's concept and it's not really what it's going to actually be. So people are making assumptions. They're jumping to conclusions on what we're actually going to be given.
And to be fair, for the most part, that's all we have to go on is assumptions, whether they're educated assumptions or just bad assumptions. Sort of all we've got. But yeah, I think that'll become more evident as we sort of break down each of the mobs and have a look at what we do know.
Right. So the sniffer, what do we know about the sniffer?
We know it's a dinosaur. Well, for lack of a better term. Although I would argue that this is not the first Minecraft dinosaur. I would argue that Interrealms has the first Minecraft dinosaur, Jurassic's, but we won't go there.
That's right. That's right.
But we know that we search in chests underwater, in underwater ruins, and you find the sniffer egg, and you bring them to the surface, you help them to hatch, and you get a sniffer. And the sniffer will sniff around, I guess, from what we can see in the video, and they'll find long lost ancient seeds that you can grow into new unique plants.
Right.
And in the video, the plant that grows, it was in the form of a question mark, which means they've got no idea what those plants are going.
Right. And I saw lots of people assuming that we were going to get a plant that we could actually use, a new food type possibly. And those were some of the assumptions that were made, but they actually gave us a little bit more via, if you read the text they gave for each of the mobs, the ancient seeds were for decorative plants. The seeds that they will find will be for a decorative plant. They just haven't decided what types of plants those will be.
Yeah. And, I'm all for aesthetics. And, let's face it, we've got a lot of decorative plants now that do nothing. So grass, well, I suppose grass gives you seeds, but, ferns and the like. So it's not out of left field, so to speak, to have a decorative plant. And, as a builder and, terraformer or learning to terraform, more options for different sort of plants. I'm okay with that.
Right. And as we go through these different mobs, I'm forming a theory. I've changed theories. So I will give that to you after we go through each of these mobs.
One question I have for you, Reader Sniffer, though, is the name weird for you? It seems weird to me.
I don't know. I've seen people say it looks like a cross between a turtle and a dog. A dog type of a dog that can find things, sniff things out. So, I mean, I can see kind of why they called it the sniffer, but yeah, it is kind of corny.
And I guess what is interesting to know is, when you look at the video, there's two different size sniffers. So does that mean we're going to get babies and growing up ones? Or, how's it going to be? And if those growing up ones are to scale in those images, they're going to be huge. They're going to be on the size of like pandas.
Right. And I actually saw someone. This brings back memories of season 1. I'm sorry. I had to bring this up, the wetlands. Someone did some digging, literally did some digging and unearthed a rib cage, how you can find fossils. And they also found another fossil you can find and they put the two together and they look like a huge sniffer. What would be a huge sniffer? So I thought that was interesting, that maybe these things at one time, they're creating lore where there probably isn't any lore, but maybe at one time these things grew to be an enormous size.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well. And and I like that, being able to tie it back. So like it's not something that's just brand new to the world that has never existed before. It's just something that you're sort of bringing back. Like the allays and all that, which is something like there's no pre-reference for that mob. It just appeared. Whereas now, the sniffer, yeah, potentially, even if you make it, even if it's not official lore, it could be player lore, these things are
right.
Are there,
well,
so, yeah.
that depends on who you talk to. You talk to someone like MatPat, he can create lore where there isn't lore. He would probably argue where the allays are tame Vexes. You know what I mean?
I haven't actually thought about that. They do have definitely got similarities.
Right, and where you find them too. So
true. Very true.
I mean, but that's all theory.
It's all theory.
Minecraft lab theory.
That's what we excel at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that about covers it for the sniffer. And the next one they gave us was the rascal.
The rascal. Very interesting one. This has been full of a lot of conversation on the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, and as far as something useful that this mob gives us, it was shown that if you could find this mob 3 times, it would give you an item, a gift, or something like that. They showed that it gave the player a enchanted iron pick.
Yeah.
And now, when asked, and I think it was clarified by the devs, the loot table has not been decided for the sniffer. But
Rascal.
again, I don't see the rascal winning. I mean, even though it would give us something that may be useful.
I think too many people have seen how it was presented and gone, it's just going to give us an enchanted iron pick. Whoop-de-doo. And I think that has really soured it. I think of all of the 3, I think the rascal for me has the most potential for interesting things, for lack of a better term. So there's a couple of reasons I say that. In the notes for this mob, you find it 3 times and it will reward you with a special prize that will help your mining. Okay, so they presented an iron pick. Has no one noticed, and I haven't seen anyone actually mention this, but what's on the back of the rascal?
A backpack.
Would not a backpack help you with your mining?
Well, it sure would help with quality of life if it's already in modded Minecraft. If they brought something like the backpack to vanilla, you would see a lot of happy people. I mean, because it's one of those sought after items in better Minecraft, isn't it?
Mate, it is one of the things you'll go through first. Now, obviously, in better Minecraft, and it's funny, we always seem to come back to better Minecraft because, frankly, I think it does Minecraft better. It's in the name, really, isn't it? The backpack, it really helps you. There's 2 really things that help you in better Minecraft with quality of life and your inventory. One is the backpack, which obviously increases your inventory capacity, and it's right. It basically just doubles the size if you get the right one. It doubles the size of your inventory. But also there's a little button that you can hit, and it's an auto sort, and it sorts everything into where it needs to be, which helps immensely as well. Those 2 things alone is fantastic. But I don't understand why no one is like cottoned on going, well, this thing has a backpack on it, so maybe one of the items that it gives is maybe this is an idea to link into a quality of life update for part of it, which I have some information from this morning is somewhat confirmed is going to be part of the update, but we'll come back to that.
Oh, really? I'm not aware.
We'll touch on that. Something happened about at time of recording about 2 hours ago. Something happened on Twitter, and I just literally saw it, and I was like, "Oh, what a time to do the podcast recording!" But we'll come back to that. But I think the rascal, if people,
I'll resist. I'm sorry, I'll resist looking at Twitter during recording.
Okay, good man. But I just think it's a shame that people have watched the video, seen this thing give a pick, and go, it's just a pick. As the dev said, it's just one of the options. And I think this one, for me, I'm going to vote rascal because I think it's got the most, I don't know how to say it. I think it's got the most opportunity to bring in some good quality of life updates if it includes that backpack. And I'm willing to roll the dice on it. But the backpack comes into play.
Right. And again, I'll wrap this up with my theory, but at the end. But I think the rascal, my feeling is the rascal will give you more opportunities, more the desire to go out and explore, to find this elusive mob. This is supposedly elusive. You have to find it 3 times, whether they're going to make it easy or hard, whether it's going to be like a wandering trader or not. But I think they kind of messed up a little bit with the wandering trader by not giving it unique loot. Yeah. But I think they could, if they gave the rascal something very unique that only you could get from the rascal by finding it, I think that would people would be willing to go out and explore more.
Yeah, and I'm going to refer back to Better Minecraft. There's a thing in Better Minecraft called Goblin Trader. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, that's a Goblin Trader. Like, it just literally just jumped out at me that was very similar to what it was. And one of the unique things that the Goblin Trader does is allows you to get level 6 enchants on things. So if you already have like a level 5 pick and you've got enough, you've got that pick on you and you've got like a netherite ingot or something with you at the time, and this Goblin Trader comes, you can trade both those things and it'll give you a level 6, which again would help you mining. There's all these things outside the sphere of thinking that this thing could do, but people are fixated on, all it does is give you an enchanted iron pick. Look past that, people. Look past it and look at the potential that the Rascal gives. In terms of getting out there and doing the exploring, the only thing we really know about where it's going to be is it's not going to be down as far as the Deep Dark. You just have to go below Y0, and it will never lead you into a Warden's Den.
Right, exactly. And just like with the Sniffer, we're looking at the facts. We're not going off assumptions. I mean, we can dream and we can interject our own theories, but the facts are that they haven't decided what kind of loot tables that the Rascal will have. Yeah. So they could give us almost anything.
Exactly right. It could be anything. And this is, I think, is a problem, and this is what we were alluding to before, is when they bring such underdeveloped idea to the table, how do you make an informed choice? We know that the Sniffer is going to give you ancient seeds, which is going to give you plants. But we don't know what this thing's going to give you, other than it's something to help you with mining. I would just like to see the mobs be a little bit more developed so that we can make informed choices of what we actually bring into the game. Like, let's face it, we don't get a whole lot of input or decisions in the development of Minecraft as the fan group, as the players. Our only real opportunity is, besides being vocal minorities on Twitter and the like. But this is where we directly get an impact on what we get in the game. It's a shame we don't have more information, particularly on this one.
Right. Yeah. And I had suggested to Twitter, I guess. I can't remember who was talking about it, but I've put out a couple different type of theories or whatever. I suggested that what if they did a mob vote, but they did it through like snapshots?
I saw you say that, yeah.
In a different Twitter post, I saw someone mention that they're not going to spend the time to develop 3 mobs when only one.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say the same thing, actually, is, you could do all that development on something and then you never see the light of day. But, why could we not have some more background information on the mobs? So let's look at the development art and the ideas that came out about the Warden after the Warden was announced and released, and as we got closer to that being released. We got a lot of the design process, we got a lot of the theory, the likes and that. Why can't we see some of that stuff for these? Like, obviously they just haven't sat down one day and go, what 3 are we going to give? Here's some random ideas. They would have some groundwork there, I would think. I guess in terms of the Rascal, the loot table would be its main defining feature. So why not at least develop the loot table before the vote?
They have probably some idea of the types of loot they'd like to give. There would be some common items, of course.
Yeah.
But people are wanting something unique.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. But again, I don't think we'll ever likely see what that may be, because I really don't think the Rascal is going to get up.
And that may be the reason why the Sniffer is getting so much more traction, is even though it's a decorative plant, they are going to be a totally new plant. Something that's not in Minecraft already. So when you compare, an enchanted iron pick that's already in the game and a brand new plant, they're going to go for the brand new thing.
Yeah, 100%. And it feels like a more developed idea. You're going to get an ancient seed that's going to give you either A or one of a new bang. Okay, we have the info we need to make an informed decision there. So I think you're right. I think that's why it is getting the traction.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's about all we know from the Rascal. And then the final one was the Tough Golem. Going back to these 3 different mobs, I kind of think it's funny that this so-called leaker, Badgerman, He's 100% right. 2 for 2. With the names of the mobs. I kind of wish the same guy would have given us more before than just the names before they Mojang actually. But I kind of think that this guy works for Mojang in some way, so it was intentionally leaked.
Yeah,
Which
I wondered that.
companies have done that before. They've leaked things before the actual announcement. This was the intent or not. We don't know, but this guy is 2 for 2.
We'll never know whether it was orchestrated or not, but yeah, he's definitely 2 for 2 on this one.
So the last mob that they gave us was the Tough Golem. And,
Yes.
when I saw this one, I think that was going to be my instant first choice
Not really.
because of what we talked about in the last podcast of inspiration. I was immediately inspired by this because one, it's customizable. That's something that they confirmed through, I think, Twitter or the press release about the mob, that you could take different pieces of wool, different colors, and give them different capes or whatnot. So it was customizable, and it was decorative, but I mean, so are the plants that are going to be given to us by the sniffer. Purely decorative. But we talked about in our last podcast about inspiration and who inspires us. And one thing you had mentioned was how Good Times with Scar can put life and movement into builds. And I've seen some of the things that B-Dubs has been doing lately, where he's trying to do the same thing within his builds, have movement and life, within his builds. He did a conveyor belt that looks pretty cool.
It is.
When I saw this Tough Golem, where how it picks things up, you can give it an item, the same thing. And I kind of wondered if you wanted these items, maybe say you're doing a wizard's enchanting room, and you wanted books moving throughout the room. You could have these, they're basically armor stands, but you could have these books moving throughout the room if you could possibly make these tough golems invisible. It would give movement, and the same thing with like a conveyor belt. If you could move these tough golems around in a conveyor belt type situation, it would give your builds movement.
Something I haven't considered, actually. That's actually very clever.
My mind instantly thought of the tough golem doesn't look bad, but I instantly thought of making them invisible, and you could have items moving, like rocks coming out of a chute, traveling down a conveyor belt. But it's actually the tough golem moving them around. Different things where you could take items. It's pretty tricky to do it with an armor stand, to move an item, make the armor stand invisible, and then move that around. But if you could have a tough golem do it randomly, I think that would give new life to builds. And again, it's just decorative, but I was instantly inspired by this one. So I mean, I might vote tough golem, but again, everything I'm seeing is really in favor of the sniffer.
Yeah, you sort of, when you come into every mob vote, you know instantly which one is going to be sort of left well and truly behind. My gut feeling is a tough golem is going to be that one on this vote. Like, it's going to be the first one that's unloved, because I just don't see much or interest or anything happening about it. I think what you've just said is actually, it's actually made me sit here and go, oh, actually, that's not a bad idea. And it's got me actually thinking, oh, what do I vote for now? Not that my vote is going to make any difference, because I reckon the sniffer has got this in the bag. I think, for me, on the surface, I thought, oh, all we're getting is a mob that is going to hold items. It's basically a glorified armor stand, as you said. But yeah, there's definitely potential there for it. Now, I suppose, if they made it also a redstone component would be.
Well, there has been talk of people wondering if it could interact with redstone pressure plates specifically, and pick up and drop those items like the allay. But again, they are really, really vague on what each of these mobs would do. They didn't give us a whole lot.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're here for with this mob vote as a summation of it all is take your best assumptions, take your best hopes and dreams and vote for that one because we just don't know. What we've discussed here with a little bit of theory, but for the most part is what we do know, and that's all anyone knows, and that's all we have to go from. So cast your vote, I guess. I don't know, whatever criteria you want, your assumptions, your hopes, your dreams, whatever you think is the cutest, and go for that.
Well, I think that's one thing that they definitely hit on 100% with this mob vote is they're all friendly mobs. You don't have anything hostile like an isologer or anything like that. Just cute mobs that.
Yeah, and I think they have confirmed that all are passive. I think they confirmed that on Twitter. Yeah.
So I mean, as if you're listening to this right now, the voting is open within the launcher. I believe it will be in, and don't let us. I mean, vote the way you feel. What your favorite is, what you think you can use, what inspires you the most.
Well, I guess that also then brings us to the next point. Minor is, what do we know about the update as a whole?
Are you ready for my theory?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so, and this has been kind of theorized by others on Twitter and throughout social media. These three mobs, if you look, and it's all theory, if you look closely, that they've got some sense of exploration or some sense of adventure to them. I don't know. Well, except for the tough golem, but
yeah, I was going to say
that. The theory is, and I was all 100% on board for thinking that this update will be an end update. I'm getting further and further away from that. It may come down the road. I really think they're going to do something that gets Minecrafters exploring again. They may bring back the archaeology, and I've seen the same theories floating around out on the Twitterverse that talking about bundles and the archaeology things that were mentioned before or shown before. But not only that, there's things exploration wise that they could improve upon, update, so to speak. The jungle temple, and we mentioned this. We actually you mentioned this in a previous podcast that there are things that they could use some updating. The desert temples, the jungle temples. If the sniffer is chosen, that the underwater ruins or some wherever you find these eggs is going to get an update. So I'm leaning more into more of a exploration type update. I don't know if they'll call it archaeology, but getting people out into these updated caves and cliffs to find the new updated things and explore more. Not just stick around base and grind or make farms or whatever, but get out and explore and find new things.
Yeah, that is a really good point. And yes, we discussed this in a previous podcast here on Minecraft Lab, that the adventure part of the game is lacking, so why not they do that? Now, we do have, for me, this is as good a confirmation as you're going to get, is that the inventory is going to be updated in this update. Now, we already knew that the hermits and the bigger creators out there have been banging on about this for quite some time, and I think that's because they were fed information to try and stir up that desire. That's what I think has happened, and I think that is the case. But this morning, my morning, King B Dogs has come out asking basically, if I was to reorder the building blocks tab, would you order it by material or by block shape? And he wants, people's feedback on that. And if you read through all of the ongoing discussions with people that are replying, you can bet your bottom dollar they are going to be playing with the inventory in this update. And really, it makes sense that if you're going to play with the inventory, you would look at attaching like an adventure update to it, because you're going to go out and find things, and you're going to be out in the world collecting things, and your inventory is going to get full. So how are you going to manage that? And on top of that, you've got the archaeology thing still sitting there that hasn't seen the light of day for a couple of years now. No one's even discussed it. Will they be bringing that back in? That's a whole adventure thing. As you rightly said, two mobs of these mob votes, you actually have to get out and find. The tough golem, though, if you just take it on face value, it is a armor stand. It is a podium for displaying things that you have found. You want to put on display. That is true. So it all comes down to, is it going to be an adventure update?
That's what I'm leaning toward now, and this will air before the event on Saturday, and then we'll do the live recording Sunday, I believe.
Yes. So instead of our spooky Sunday session that we usually do, Phasmophobia or Devour, we are going to do Minecraft Lab, Minecraft Live. Well, that's a lot of Minecraft. I don't know what you call it. Reaction, I guess. Probably the best way to call it.
Right.
Live recording. And
we're putting our theory out there that it will be centered around exploration.
Yes. And there'll be a big component of this will be a whole inventory redesign, reconfigure. Yeah, I think that would be my best bet. If you put all the pieces together and you join all the dots, to me, that's where it leads. The question I have, though, is will the portal from the ancient city play any part in this update?
I'm thinking that the chances of that in this update are getting less and less.
I think it's slim, but there's only one way that I could see that it would fit. And if the intention is to get people out into an adventure update, or, to increase that exploration, is it going to come back to a previous theory that we put forward on this podcast? Will it be a methodology for fast travel, like the Waystones of Better Minecraft?
That is true. That is true.
If you're getting people to get out there and explore and you're going miles away, you would think that one of the complaints people might have is, now I've got to come all the way back. Because you get that from people, they go, they find a woodland mansion, and they go, now we've got to go all the way 10,000 blocks back home again. Makes me wonder.
That, you have a good point there, because, most people, when they want to travel long distance, they go through the Nether, build a tunnel, whatnot. But if you had methods of traveling long distances in an instant, and you always see, I'm kind of wondering how that would work from a development type of, or a game code type of thing. You always see a lag spike coming in and out of portals from the Nether. I'm wondering if this method of fast travel, this is all theory, but that would alleviate some of the lag, because you would be going from one part in the overworld to another part in the overworld, basically teleporting.
Look, I still think very firmly that is a very unlikely scenario that is going to happen. I think it's probably not, and I think it's more highly likely that portal won't be looked at. I think at some stage that portal is going to be looked at for something. Like, there's too many, as we've said previously, there's too much behind the scenes for that not to ever do anything. But I really don't think it'll be in this update, and I'd be surprised if it is. But hey, I'm going to look like a complete and utter genius if that is what it turns out to be.
Right. But this is good news about King B Dogs talking about the inventory. We got the surveys that went out. We talked about that in previous podcasts, the surveys that were wanting to get people's thoughts on the inventory system. And look, as you said, they're trying to mend broken bridges between the community, showing up on Hermitcraft, spending time with them, and then there had to be some behind the scenes talks between the hermits and these developers. And I think you're right. I think maybe they have been given a little bit of inside information, and they're possibly trying to create some hype behind the possibilities. The Azuma video on his thoughts on the inventory system, I really liked. I think those simple things, even if we don't have an end update, to have enchanted shulker boxes would be amazing.
Look, I think it's absolutely no coincidence, and even Stevie Wonder could see that and it was no coincidence that every hermit started talking and complaining about the inventory all at the same time.
Mhm.
You know, it's no coincidence. So the inventory thing is, you know, we've said this for months now. The inventory is going to be an update, is going to be part of this update. No questions asked. Now, to be really clear, you know, what King B Dogs put out there on Twitter today at time of recording is all about the building blocks creative tab. But there's no way you're going to play with one part of that inventory system and the back end of it without touching everything.
Right.
You know, and you're not going to have, you know, all these big creators talking about an inventory update unless they are sure that is going to happen. I don't think it's working that they're trying to put pressure on to make it happen. I think they're more towing the line of what they know is going to happen and sort of get that conversation flowing to see what ideas people can have that they might be able to go, oh, that's actually a good idea. This is not bad. That's how I think it's coming about. So bet your bottom dollar, bet the house on the inventory is getting a tweak, and I'm putting my money on an adventure/exploration focused update.
I'd be all in on that also.
Well, I think, you know, in previous podcasts, you and I have said, you know, that's one part of the game that really needs some attention too. So makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. Again, with something like this, with exploration update or quality of life update, they can actually do what they've said in their press release, not give you basic core that they're looking at doing, and then as they refine these things, they can add them in snapshots and get people's feedback without, you know, making a bunch of promises and then them never showing up in the snapshot. So we're kind of getting little bits at a time, you know, the breadcrumbs or the I don't know how else to put it, but we're getting to try things that will either work or they won't.
Well, at the end of the day, Miner, if you are listening to this podcast, head on over to either my Twitch or Miner's YouTube. The links will be below. And in 24 hours or tomorrow, we will be live discussing all the recaps. Were we right? Were we wrong? And if you can't make the live recording, then next Saturday, or Friday, whenever it comes out for you guys, Minecraft Lab is coming out for a third week in a row on the podcast, and it'll be the edited version of the live recording. So you can see, were we right? Were we wrong? Were we geniuses? Were we severely lacking in brain cells? You'll find out very, very shortly.
Right. And if you can make it to the live recording, that would be great. We always like the interaction with the community. You guys may see things differently than we do. You may have spotted something that we haven't. So bring your questions, bring your theories, and we'll do a deep dive.
We will. And, you know, the theories won't be theories anymore. They will either be destroyed theories or fact, and we'll be able to discuss the facts. And we really look forward to seeing you there. Don't forget, even if you want to have a chat to us, you can call in by joining our Discord. We'll have the Discord channels open there for, you know, ability for you guys to come in and join us for a quick part of the chat. Yeah, it would be great to have you there.
Right. Or just join the Discord, submit a question, and we'll discuss it in the live stream.
Well, Miner, frankly, I can't wait to see what is announced.
I'm seriously. I mean, at first I wasn't so sure. I totally expected, you know, just another biome update to the end. But I think the mystery, this next possible update, has got me intrigued. It's got me.
We will soon find out. In 24 hours from time of release of this podcast, and 1 week by the time of recording, we'll all know.
Yes. So we'll see you there next. Well, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we will.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this episode of Minecraft Lab. Again, I guess we went longer than expected, but that's okay. There's always so much to talk about when we're talking about theory and things that we'd like to experiment in future updates of Minecraft. So we'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
See you tomorrow.